guys, happy Writing Wednesday. Technically when I'm recording this, it is not Wednesday, it's Tuesday, but happy Writing Wednesday to you, because when you watch it, it might be Wednesday or it might be another day, but let's just go with Writing Wednesday. So my name's Jessica and I am really passionate about teaching writing. So I have made it my mission that every Wednesday I will share some type of content to help teachers become better writing teachers. And not just become better writing teachers, but feel better about writing. So I think that one of the biggest obstacles teachers face is that when it comes to teaching writing, it's our confidence. Confidence in writing, or lack thereof, is something that is really familiar. We maybe took one course in college about teaching writing. We probably had some professional development, but at the end of the day, it often gets put to the back burner. So one of the reasons why that this happens is because we don't feel confident in teaching writing. Writing can be really hard to teach. It doesn't have to feel so heavy. It doesn't have to be the hardest thing we teach in the world, but it oftentimes feels like it is. So I don't know if anyone's ever told you this before, but confidence can really make it or break it when it comes to teaching. And that's not just writing, that's with anything. When we're not feeling confident, it shows, and it shows to our students, and we feel that. We feel that insecurity and that lack of confidence in what we're doing, the questioning ourselves, the wondering, am I teaching the right thing? Do they even understand me? All of that comes with the lack of confidence. So when it comes to teaching writing, it's really, really important that as teachers, we work on feeling more confident as a writing teacher. So you have probably heard, for me maybe, or someone else, how important it is that when we're teaching writing, that we need to build our students' confidence. So we want them to feel good about what they write. We want them to feel like they're in a safe environment, a safe classroom where they feel okay sharing their writing. They don't feel like people are going to make fun of them, or they don't feel like you're going to criticize every single word that they write down. We know that. We've talked about that. You've heard that, not just from me, from like any good writing teacher. But what you probably don't hear is how important it is to build your confidence. So if you've ever thought to yourself, I don't know enough about writing, or I don't know how to help my students make those next steps, or I'm not a real writer, so how could I possibly teach my students to write? Or, this is the classic, I'm so overwhelmed because my students need so much. That's okay. You're not alone. A lot of teachers feel that way. Even the most confident of writing teachers feel that way. Even the most experienced of writing teachers feel that way, because writing's a big thing to teach. Really big. So let's do big things. So today I just want to share with you the 5 C's of teaching writing with confidence. I believe that if you focus on these 5 core areas in your classroom, that you're going to feel more confident as a writing teacher, and that's going to translate to your students. Your students are going to feel more confident in their writing because they know that you feel more confident in teaching writing. So let's talk about those 5 C's real quick, and then I'll send you on your way with your download. So the first C is confidence. So confidence when it comes to you is really important. Like I've already said, I'm not going to go back into that again, but when we feel insecure, that translates to our students, and it's going to be really hard for you to build their confidence when you don't feel confident. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it just is an extra hurdle that you have to jump. So in the free download, you're going to get 4 tips for each of these 5 C's. These tips are actionable strategies that you can put in your classroom today. I'm going to go ahead and give you confidence right here. And then I want you to stay tuned to your email, because you're probably going to get some more videos and some more content. It's another C about these 5 C's. Okay, so let's talk about confidence. So I've got 4 tips for helping you feel more confident in teaching writing and also creating a climate where your students feel more confident in writing. So tip number 1, everybody's a writer. Everybody. That means that you share your writing. I know that's really hard. I know it's really, really hard for some teachers, but we'll talk more about that later. Students share their writing, and everyone is a writer. That's what that means, that you are a classroom full of writers, and that we're all learning and we're all growing and we're all going to make mistakes, and that's just what we are. So every time that you share your writing as a teacher or student, so anybody, a little piece of you gets braver, bolder, and more confident, which is what we're going for. Tip number 2, compliment conferences. Before you go on any type of conference with your students, like at the beginning of the year, whenever you're starting the year, whenever you're getting your classroom set up, if you're doing any type of conferring with your students, spend some time complimenting them on what they are already doing well. This helps you focus on their strengths so that you're not thinking about the million things that they can't do or they came to your grade level lacking that they didn't learn in the year before. I think I could have said that better, but you know what I'm saying. Rather than becoming discouraged by their weaknesses. So you're not focusing on all the things that they can't do, you're focusing on what they are able to do. And that's a huge mindset shift for teachers, is being able to focus on what they already can do and then building upon that, rather than feeling defeated and discouraged by all of the work ahead of us to get them to grade level by the end of the school year. So focus on that. Not only that, how awesome is it to hear from your teacher about the amazing things that you're doing? Even if you're watching this video and it's at the end of the school year, this is something that can still be applied at any point in the school year. You should always, always, always begin a student writing conference with a compliment. Focus on what they're doing well, so it doesn't feel like when you go sit next to them to teach them something new or to talk about their writing or to coach them in some way, they don't feel automatically defensive, like wanting to hold their writing close to their chest and not share it with anyone. If you walk up to a student and sit next to them and you automatically, the first words that come out of your mouth are something that they are doing well, and you're raving about the way that their beginning sounds or the way that they ended the sentence or the fact that they used a period, if that's the first thing that comes out of your mouth, you have just made a child's day, and they're going to want to do so much more for you. I cannot tell you the importance of compliment conferences, and that's all it could be. If you do one conference a day and that's all you did was tell one child what they were doing well as a writer, imagine if you did that every single day. After 22 days, you've got students feeling pretty darn good about themselves as writers, and then they're ready to do whatever it is that you want them to do next in their writing. Tip 3 goes right along with tip 2. So after you're already doing that as a writing teacher, your next steps is to coach your students how to do that same thing. You want to build a community and a classroom where students are always complimenting each other on their writing. It doesn't have to be this big amazing thing that, oh my goodness, you wrote a whole paragraph and all the words were amazing. I could totally picture it in my mind, and oh my goodness, your conclusion, it doesn't have to be that big of a deal. It's something super simple, like, hey, I really loved how you used the transition word at the beginning of your paragraph. So it's part of teaching, modeling this as a teacher. So you start there, and then when you hear your students working with each other or talking about writing in your classroom, which that's another C, then you can help encourage students to focus on the positive and to focus on what the other writer is doing well. So for example, if you have students working in partnership, sharing their writing for like 2 minutes at the end of your writing lesson, maybe you sit next to them and kind of coach, like, what did you really like about Johnny's writing? And Johnny says, well, that part was funny. That's a compliment. Focus on the small things. Make it really easy for them to find something positive about each other's writing, and just reinforce it. Just reinforce how to say nice things about writing. So, for example, let's say you walked up to Johnny and his little writing partner, Susie, and Johnny doesn't really know what to say about Susie's writing. Give them the words. Say, well, which part? Maybe point to something that you really liked. What part made you feel something? Or just simply show them. Say, Susie, I really liked the way that you used periods at the end of every single sentence. That's what writers do. That's really important so that the reader knows when to stop and take a breath, because otherwise we just wouldn't stop and breathe. And that's important. Tip number 4, teach students how to problem solve. Independence builds confidence. It is that simple. When you feel like you can do something on your own and you can solve your own problems, you feel confident as a teacher, as a student, as a human being. So the more that students can work independently, the more confident they will be. When they encounter struggle, you should not be the first attempt at solving the problem. You are not their problem solver. They need to be able to solve problems on their own. So this does 2 things. 1, it teaches them how to be independent, self-reliant, self-sufficient, all those wonderful words, which builds confidence when you can do something on your own and you don't have to depend on other people. Also, it frees you up so that you can do your job as a writing teacher and you have the time to process and think. If you're sitting in a classroom and you have 5 students one student, not even 5, one student that constantly needs your attention, is asking you questions about what they do next. How do they do this? My pencil needs sharpened. Can I sharpen my pencil? When you've got things like that going on in your classroom, there's so much mental energy that is being drained that you're not able to make the decisions that you need to make as a teacher. You're not able to help grow the students in your classroom. So part of setting up your classroom at the beginning of the year is really important to teach students how to problem solve. But what if it's not the beginning of the year and you're still dealing with these problems? Then it's just really important to teach students how to solve these problems on their own. So, for example, let's say that it's April and you're still seeing these issues in your classroom. It happens. And your students just can't problem solve on their own. Well, I don't want to say can't, but they're not is more accurate. They're not solving problems on their own. They're raising their hand for every little thing. They're asking questions. They're not doing things to solve their own problems. What I would do is maybe take one writing session. So one day, like one of your writing blocks, however long that may or may not be. And I would just observe the problems that are not being solved by the students. Make a list and maybe even record them on chart paper. Maybe even you don't even touch conferences that day, except one compliment conference. And just observe. Watch what your students are doing. What are they not able to do? And just sit and watch and make a list. Maybe you put it on chart paper and maybe they see you make this list. And every time they ask you how to do something or every time they aren't able to solve their problems, write it down. Write down what is it that they're not able to do. And then I would do it right at the end of that lesson or the next day, depending on your time. I would pull all of your students together on the carpet or gathering area, wherever you meet with your students, and I would address each of those problems. And I would just talk with them. How could we solve those problems? Maybe you make a T-chart. One side is problems, the other side is solutions, so that students are clear on when this happens in the classroom or when I'm having this problem, this is what I do. That way, you are not solving your students' problems. You are not the first attempt at them solving their problems, which frees you up to be an awesome, confident writing teacher. Okay, so I just shared 4 tips that you can use in your classroom tomorrow or today or next week to help you teach writing with more confidence. If you click the link below or check your email inbox, you're going to get a download that has the 5 C's of teaching writing with confidence. For each of those C's, I give you 4 tips for things that you can do in your classroom immediately to help you teach writing with more confidence. Also included in the download are some posters and things that you can use inside your classroom to reinforce these C's with you and your students so that you can be a more confident writing teacher. So that's it for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at jessica@theliteracyloft.com. I love getting your emails, and I love to talk all things writing. So you can also come check back in our Facebook page and our Facebook group and share how these things are working in your classroom. Also, what's really important is that maybe you're already doing some of these things in your classroom. That's exactly why I set the download pages, the printable pages up like a checklist. So if you're already doing these things, then check that bad boy off. You've been doing it, so you are on your way to being more confident. So that's one reason that I wanted you to have this, so that you could see the things that maybe you're already doing in your classroom and give you some actionable steps to teach with more joy and ease in your classroom. So have a great day and have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.